Hey guys. So, I said I would do more than one video on CPR because the first one was on infant CPR. Now, the last one, infant CPR, like I just said, is only for children that are under a year old. So this one is basically child CPR for kids that are a year to 8 years old. Um, Now, one thing that I do want to mention before I get started is that when I do these videos, I'm going to go ahead and go through the entire process over again, just in case someone looks this up to learn about it and wants to hear the whole thing. I don't want you to have to go all the way back to infant CPR when you were looking up child CPR or adult CPR. You should be able to get the entire thing in one video. So that's what I'm going to do. Also, what I would like to do is add one thing to the infant CPR video, or like not add it to it, but to mention something that I seem to have forgotten. Um, and that is that, that if no one is with you, wow, stuttering, if no one is with you, then when you first start performing CPR, you should do it for about 2 minutes straight. And if it's still not working, go ahead and take the time to call 911. But as soon as you finish getting off the phone with 911 or your emergency number in your area, then you need to continue to do CPR on the infant. This, um, this would be in all cases if you're the only one in the house besides the person who is unconscious, then you need to start performing CPR first for about 2 minutes straight and then go call 911 and then proceed until they either wake up and start breathing again or until help arrives, like an ambulance or police or someone. And when I say someone, I don't just mean like your neighbor. I mean the official personnel that are called when you call 911 or, like I said, your local emergency number. Now, on to child CPR. First part again is stay safe. Any contagious diseases that the child may have, you might get. So, try to stay clean. If you have any personal protective equipment, that would be great. For example, they again have these basically like a mouth guard for CPR so that when you're blowing in, it seals off everything so that the air does not escape when you're trying to give the person air. But it also makes it so that if they spit anything out of their mouth or anything, it won't get into your mouth and it won't infect you. Now, first you're going to try to wake the person up. Um, as I said with infants, you don't want to be too rough, but because they are older and bigger, they can take a little more. So you should try gently tapping them or shaking them on their shoulder. Call out their name in a loud voice. Like I said, don't hurt them, but you can still be kind of aggressive about it. And when I say aggressive, people tend to think crazy. Aggressive is not a bad thing. I guess assertive might be a better word for people to not feel like you're going to kill someone by shaking them too much. If the child does not wake up, have someone call 911 immediately. If you are by yourself, go ahead and start to perform CPR for about 2 minutes and then go ahead and call 911. Now, open the airway and check for breathing. Again, you want to tilt their head back, but not too far because it'll close their air passage again. And again, putting a book under their shoulders, like their upper back area, will help with this. Make sure that they're on a flat surface. Again, you could try a table or a counter. I'm assuming that the kid isn't going to be so big that they can't possibly fit on the counter at all. The floor is fine. again, I wouldn't really suggest a bed just in case it's a really plush bed and, people sink into it, or like a couch or something. That's because there's too many bumps and folds in it, and it's not going to work out. Um, you want to put your ear to the child's mouth and listen for breathing. Um, and I suggested using your hand or your arm before. It actually says that it might be best to like feel with your cheek, like put your cheek in front of their mouth and nose area, because apparently the skin on your cheek is more sensitive. So that also kind of works out because your cheeks and your ears are close together, so not too much moving back and forth. You don't have to do that too much. If they are not breathing, then like it already told you, I mean, you should have called 911 already, but if you have not called 911, then do it. Um, that is if someone else is there with you. If the child is breathing, you can go ahead and walk away and call 911. But if the child is not breathing and you are by yourself, please proceed to go ahead and perform CPR. And again, if someone is with you, um, then you should be going ahead and performing CPR after you tell them to go and call 911. And also make sure that if someone else is going to call 911, make sure that they know what's going on, because they're going to have to relay the message to the emergency respondent, and it's just inefficient if they don't know. They need to know where you are, they need to know what the emergency is, and they need to know exactly what to say. Otherwise, it's just going to be a big mess. They're going to be asking them questions. They're going to have to walk back and forth asking you. You don't have time for that because you need to be trying to save someone's life. Now, you're going to give the child 2 breaths. Again, pinch their nose, not to the point where you're like trying to hurt their nose or break their nose off, but enough so that if they could breathe right now, they would not be breathing through their nose. This is so that when you blow into their mouth, it doesn't come out of their nose, because the mouth and the nose passageways are both connected. Um, in fact, I can, vouch for this. I don't know if everyone feels this, but sometimes while you're breathing out of your nose, out of your mouth, you can feel it coming out of your nose a little bit, like a little bit of air comes out of your nose too. Now, you don't tend to feel that if you're breathing out of your nose because you close your mouth entirely, but you can't really close your nose unless you pinch it. Now, after you pinch their nose, to you want to make sure that your mouth is covering their mouth. Not that you're lip to lip, but that your mouth is covering their mouth. Again, like eating their face. You are engulfing their lips. This is to make sure that the air does not escape when you are breathing trying to give them air. Now, you breathe in without being close to them. Like you breathe your own air in, and then you hold your breath basically, and you put your mouth over their mouth, and then you breathe into them. Now, either you need to be looking at their lungs, or not their lungs, but their chest, or you need to like have a hand gently laid over their chest. If it's a girl, well, I guess this would be more for an adult. You probably wouldn't be thinking of this unless you're a pervert, and in which case you should not be giving this child mouth to mouth in the first place. But if it's a girl, you probably wouldn't want to have your hand directly over their like boobs area. But then again, this is for children, and from ages 1 through 8, you probably wouldn't have boobs anyway. And like I said, if you're thinking about that, then you're a pervert and you shouldn't be doing this. So, although I guess it would be necessary if they're going to die, whether you're a pervert or not. Just don't be weird. Anyway, sorry about the tangent. Again, you only do this twice. If no air is going in, then you need to try adjusting the child's chin, like the way that it's tilted, to make sure that the airway is open. Because if you have it too far back or too far forward, then the airway is not going to be open, and the air that you're trying to put into their lungs is not going to get in. Now, If this isn't working, no matter how you adjust their head, then begin the chest compressions. You're gonna put the heel of your hand, which is, the this part, like the where the wrist connects, basically, right there. You want to do that to the child instead of the fingers because they're going to be bigger, so fingers aren't going to work as well at all. Um, you put that on the child's breastbone, which is directly, like, right here, right in the middle. You um, you don't want it over too far or anything. It's right in the center of their chest. You push straight down about 1.5 inches, and then you let the chest come back up. Like you're pressing it in, and you let it come back up on its own because it just does that. Like it's not jelly. It's not going to just mush. Um, you do that 30 times, again about 2 times a second. And also make sure that your hands aren't bouncing around. Like when you press, you want it to be firm. When you come up, you want it to let the chest naturally spring forward. Or not, it's not like drastic, but you want it to naturally come back up. But you want to keep your hands connected to the chest regardless. So after your 30 compressions, you give the child 2 more breaths, and you keep going back and forth. But you want to make sure that you keep checking if they're breathing in between. So, you know, check if they're breathing, give them air, do the chest compressions, check if they're breathing, give them air, do the chest compressions, keep going. Or you could give them air, check for breathing, do the chest compressions, give them air, and then check for breathing. I don't think that matters, but you're not like, what orders don't make sense. It's kind of obvious, um, but it is best to make sure to check if they're breathing again. Um, Again, when checking if they're breathing, you want to make sure that they don't. If you can't tell if they're breathing or not, don't assume that they are. Assume that they're not, and go ahead and do it anyway. Because if they are breathing, and you give them CPR, it's not going to kill them. It's not going to hurt them at all. It might be weird for them. They might wake up, actually. So that would be good. But if you assume that they are breathing and they're not, that can cause a lot of damage. And honestly, in my opinion, I think you would be liable at that point because you didn't check and you weren't safe enough. Like you checked, but you just assumed that they're okay. You weren't even sure. Um, but do not perform CPR if you really don't know how to do it because you could severely damage their chest. Like if you just really have no idea, I mean, because some people they press too hard, they see like over dramatized, over dramatized uh, CPR on movies and stuff. It's not safe to do it that way. That's just acting. It's not going to hurt the actor to pretend to do stuff like that. But if someone is in serious trouble, then you could seriously damage their ribs. Um, and that's pretty much it. Um, so, again, keep doing this for 2 minutes if you're the only person there. And then after 2 minutes, go and call 911, and then come back and continue to do it. If another person is there and they've already called 911, then you can go ahead and just continue to do it until the people get there. But if you're by yourself, after you call 911, go back and continue to do CPR until help arrives. So yeah, next coming up is the adult version. So thanks guys, and I'll see you soon.